right, so my project for today is I have this little stool that came with my drawing desk. And the reviews online, a lot of people said, well, this isn't really sturdy, but I have a funny feeling it's because they didn't tighten up any of the fasteners really well. This thing comes with one of those little tiny Allen wrenches, and that's just not going to work. I have not had any issues with it. I think it's quite sturdy. The part I don't like is that this top hardly has any padding. It had more, but after me sitting on it for a few months, what padding is there is worn out. So I am going to take this top off and reupholster it. And I don't mind this black kind of fake leather thing, but I did go to Walmart and found something a little bit more colorful. So I'll show you what I got. And let's talk about cost. So this is a yard of indoor-outdoor upholstery fabric, so it's not washable, which is fine because I don't want to waste time washing this when it's just going to go on a seat. This was $6.97 for a yard, and it is this is double folded here. So so when you measure out a yard, it's a yard from this side to this side. So I could probably do like 6 of these stools with this. So in reality, this costed $6.97, but in reality, let me see, can you see that? $6.97. It's a little dark in here. We're expecting storms later on, but so I'm going to use about a yard of this fabric. Okay, not much more than that. So to pad it out, what I got, instead of buying upholstery foam, which is super expensive, I bought this foam mattress topper. I've done upholstery with this stuff before. It's not super thick, but you can double or triple it up, and it's cheap. This package was about 12 and a half bucks, and I'll be able to do several other projects with this. So again, out of the 12 and a half bucks, I'm using maybe $1.50, $2 worth of this material, and I've got stuff left over for other projects. So I'm going to go get some tools so we can take that stool apart, and I will be right back. All right, so the seat of this is held on by 4 hex bolts, and these are 5/32 of an inch hex. And again, the little Allen wrench thing you get comes with these. What I'm going to do is use a socket with a 1/4 inch bit in there, and then a 5/32 inch hex bit. And this is not magnetic, so this will just fall right out. So I just need to be able to get in there and loosen it up. And once I get it loose a little bit, I can just spin it right out. So there's one. I think I may have loosened one of these already. And this is actually the kind of tool I use to put this together. And this is how I know I got these tight enough the first time around so that I'm not having issues with this stool the way other people are. In fact, there's some of the online reviews I read said, a lot of the people said the desk itself was fairly wobbly, and I've been using it for close to a year. I didn't use the stool the whole time. I had a chair, but I decided I liked the stool better after I gave it a try. But I used real tools, not the little tiny baby Allen wrench that came with it, and I have not noticed that it is wobbly at all. So, all right, so we're going to set these aside, and we're going to set these 4 screws aside, and then this comes right off. Now there are 2 parts to this here. There's this dust cover that just covers up the wood. I don't care about replacing that because you never really see it unless you flip the stool over. There are, however, staples under there that I need to get to, so I do need to get this off. And for this, I am using a very narrow-sided. I'm kneeling on my mic wire. So this is a very narrow-sided, please focus, screwdriver that's designed for getting down there into channels. And yeah, I'm going to need a pair of pliers as well. It is very difficult to get these staples out without getting a pair of pliers on them, so I will be right back. And I'm back. I grabbed a pair of pliers, and I also grabbed a little white paper plate. So I've got a place to put all of these as I yank them out. Come on. I'm pulling up on the cloth here as well. So if you can get one side of the staple out with the screwdriver, you can get the rest of it out pretty easily with the pliers. So I'm just going to go ahead and loosen all of these. That one came out all the way. This is not a difficult task by any means, but it's a little dark in here. Like I said, we're expecting some storms later today, and they painted these staples black so you can't see them, and that means I can't see them very well, even with my glasses on. Here's a couple of extra staples that we're holding on the materials tags. Pull those out while I'm here. Well, won't get that one out right away, but some of these are really stuck in here. Some of these did not go in here properly at all. So you got to remember, the factory that's making these, they are literally kicking these out like hundreds in a day. So it is, you know, the amazing part is that it doesn't have a ton of defects to begin with. So I'm going to pull out all of these staples, and I could have just ripped this off, but I don't want to have a bunch of staples sitting around under there when I'm trying to staple the new cover on. And this is all in real time. So I've got a couple that are still stuck here. Okay, this one here, well, he might not be an issue because he's toward the center and I'm not going to be stapling there. This guy here, however, had to work him a little bit, but he's out. And, okay, so this guy is up. This one didn't go in properly at all to begin with. And so I've got one more right here. All right, so there is our dust cover. And you can see they actually put, I keep kneeling on my mic wire. You can see it right here. So you can see they actually put quite a few staples in here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those out off camera because that would be rather boring. You now know what it looks like to pull out staples. I'm just going to work in from the inside and try to loosen those up and pull them out. These will be a little bit easier to see because these are silver staples. You can see them reflecting in the light there. But now we're down to the important part, because the size of this piece of material here is going to tell me what size of cloth I need to cut out of my brand new cloth. And the little foam bit under here will tell me what I need to cut out of my mattress topper. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all these out and be right back. Okay, so I finally got all those staples out. This was probably going to be the most laborious part of this. This took me about 20 minutes. You can see all the staples here. Some of these staples were in here really tight, which tells me something I need to know later on down the road. It was almost to the point where I'm like, oh gosh, I need to go get a beer. But it's only 10:30, so we'll wait until we're actually finished. So I'm going to pull this back. You can see, I'm going to pull this up here. You can see the staples did take out quite a bit of this wood. There was a lot of sawdust, little bit, you know, sawdust-like stuff. So I did go get my dust buster so I could clean this up as we went. This is not like super high quality particle board by any means, and particle board tends to do this anyway. So I'm going to take this top cover off, and it's kind of stretchy, so it's pulled over quite a bit. So there we go. Okay, so this is what our top cover looks like. And you can see it's trying to keep its original form, but I need this guy to lie flat so that I can get a bead on how big a piece to cut out. And I don't know what they were cutting this with. These edges here, it looks like possibly they trimmed it up after it was put on there. So we'll come back to that. Here's our foam bit, and you'll notice that this foam does come around the edge. And a lot of people sometimes make this mistake. They'll only cut a piece of foam big enough to fit the entire diameter. But you need this to come over the edge. If not, your legs are going to be hitting this rough corner here. So I'm going to have to cut a piece that I can pull up and around this side here. So, and I'm actually going to cut 2 pieces and possibly 3. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And this is what this looks like. We'll get these guys out of the way since they're just going to go in the recycling. Do you have to recycle staples? Does it make sense? I don't know. But they're going to go in. This bag is recyclable. Store drop off. So this will go in with all my extra grocery bags that I take back to the store. And ideally, I would have left this sitting out so it could get flat for a little bit, but I didn't do that. So what I need to do is I'm going to lay this right here, and I'm going to draw a circle around here, but I need a marker, so I need to go get that first. Okay, I live in a house that's full of markers, and it took me forever to find one. So I also went and grabbed a tape measure while I was at it. Get my mic wire out of the way because I do not want to cut that. So I'm going to trace this here, and I'm just going to cut this bit out roughly. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure, and you can see this is full of sawdust still, but this is going to go in the garbage later on. So I'm going to measure this bit here. This is from the inner edge, the top edge of the seat bottom to where it extended over the side, and that is about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to move this guy over, and I'm going to, I know that's at least 1.5 inches, yep. So I'm going to draw another circle, wondering all the time if I am in frame, and then I'm going to go here to 1.5 inches, and just make a mark right about there, 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 oops, there, there. Is that 1.5 inches? Yeah, it's roughly 1.5 inches there. Maybe be a little bit more generous there. I may have missed the mark a little bit there. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to cut this guy out roughly. And then we're going to put things together and see how it looks. And if you're thinking, well, that doesn't seem like a lot of padding, well, look at how thin this stuff was to begin with. I mean, that is super thin. So we're going to get him out of there, get him out of here, get this guy out of here, And we're going to go to town trimming these circles out. And I did sharpen these scissors before I started this. I use these scissors for paper actually, and nothing dulls scissors faster than paper. So I did want to make sure I had nice sharp scissors for this. I do have scissors that I use exclusively for fabrics, but I seem to have misplaced them for the moment. You do not have to throw these bits out. If you make like stuffed animals, you can cut these out, cut these up and stuff your animals with those. So, all right, so here we're just going to kind of eyeball it a little bit. Just trying to keep that same diameter. If you're not super confident about your cutting skills, you can put more of these little marks. You could you could use a compass and sketch it on there. And it's a little difficult to be super precise with this because this is this kind of waffle weave material. And you see it's got a couple of different things, but it's all going to average out in the end, I have found out, because you're going to put upholstery over the top. And that will kind of make all things equal. So this is what it's going to look like. So this is going to sit here, and then I'm going to bring this up like this when I upholster. And I'm thinking that's going to be enough padding. So now we come to this guy, and I want to find the shortest diameter, and he just is not going to lie flat for me. So I guess we have to play rough. All right, so this way he is 16 inches in diameter. This way he is 16 inches in diameter. Notice there's a point here. So I'm going to measure, there's a point over here. That's 17.5 inches in diameter. So I think what I'm going to do is go to my material as soon as I remember where I put it. Here it is. And I'm going to cut a circle 20 inches in diameter because, first of all, I want plenty of wiggle room in case I make mistakes. So we went 17.5 on the original, so I'm going to go 20. So this is a selvage edge, which I'm not terribly worried about because that's going to get pulled under anyway. But if you want to trim that off just to be on the safe side, you can. But I'm going to go this way first. So I'm going to leave right to here is 20. And you probably can't see what I'm doing because I'm out of frame. But what I'm going to do is, all right, this is nice because this is striped fabric. So can you see this? Probably not. Let's get over here. All right, so this is striped fabric. Trying to make room for things here. So this is 20 inches right here. So I know this blue stripe here is 20 inches. So I'm going to go up that blue stripe 20 inches and make a mark. And I'm going to go over to another stripe here and make a mark at 20. Did I get that right? No, I missed that. Okay, 20. I don't have to be super precise here. I didn't realize, I was looking at different materials and I thought, well, stripes look nice and they're slimming. So I thought, well, I'll go with stripes. But I didn't realize that stripes would also help me measure this and cut this out. So if you're new to this kind of work, this is not the worst way to go. And again, we do not need to be super precise. I'm not making a shirt. I am going to upholster with this. So, I am working up a little bit of a sweat, so that beer may be necessary after all. The other thing, now we can get rid of all this and get rid of that. The other thing that the stripes are going to help me do is know that I'm putting equal tension, because you don't want the stripes going crooked. You want to keep those nice and stripy. So, and I think that is actually the technical term, is stripy. So I'm going to center this on here and put this here. And I'm going to go get my staple gun, which is on the other side of the room. So give me a minute. Okay, so have my staple gun, have extra staples just in case. This is a Surebonder brand trigger fire, and what I love about it, it has two modes. So if you have it in normal mode, it works just like a ordinary staple gun. You just squeeze this big handle, and when it goes down all the way, boom, a staple comes out. But it also has trigger mode, where it works like a gun, really. You squeeze this and it cocks it, and then when you squeeze this trigger, that's when the staple comes out. And I love it because it actually frees up your other hand to do things. So it also has a power, so I can use more power when I shoot the staple or less power, and that's great for upholstery, because when I'm going through one layer of fabric, I'm going to use less power. When I'm going through multiple layers, I'm going to use more power. So that's very handy. So I'm going to start off by using the long corners here. And I want to make sure that I'm pulling this material here up over that. And so I'm going to cock it. And you can see the trigger comes down. And put a staple right there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Make sure that comes up. And I'm coming in about 1 inch. Okay, so upholstering is basically a matter of working out the tension so that you want the tension even all the way around. So you don't start on one side and just work your way around. You start off on opposite sides. And then it's kind of like a bolt tightening sequence if you've ever replaced a tire or replaced a head in an engine. So now I've got my other four corners. I'm going to pull this up like this, and you can see I'm pulling it up so that this layer here comes up this way. Okay, and I'm going to cock and go. And it's been years since I've done this, so I guarantee you this is not going to look pretty the first time around, but we're doing the best we can with what we've got. All right, so pull this up here. There we go. All right, so far our stripes are looking pretty good. Got some bits of fuzz here from where I trimmed it. All right, it's not super tight though, and that's fine. We can tighten it up as we go. The main thing I want to do is make sure that I'm keeping even tension so far, because I do not want these stripes to start wavering. I want to keep them nice and straight. So I'm just going to go again to the opposite corner here. Now we've done the fourths, okay? Now we're going to do eighths, and we're just going to keep working in. So, and you see here, I'm pulling on that. This stripe is not straight, so I'm going to have to balance that out when I go around again. All right, going to go to the opposite side, pull this in a little bit, going in about 1 inch from the edge. And you can see here that selvage edge, it's well on the bottom, so I don't need to worry about that. So that's fine. Okay. Make sure I'm centered up between these two staples. Now at some point you're going to have too much fabric in the way. There's about 1 inch. And you're going to want to start trimming this off. So where was I? Okay, here are my two. So here we are. make sure that's coming out a little bit. There we go. And we do this gradually and slowly, so at any point, if we start to feel we're getting too much tension on one side, we can go back and take some staples out and rearrange things. But so far, these stripes are looking straight. So we've done the quarters, we've done the opposite quarters, so now we're down to basically dividing this up into 30 seconds. So now I can start to go like this. And this is where this gets difficult because you can see how that fabric is kind of bunching up. And what did I do with the original piece? Okay, but that is normal. You can see here how this got all bunched up. So the issue really is not, oh my gosh, it's bunching up. The issue is I'm going to want to spread that out as evenly as possible. So I have a staple here and a staple here. I want to put my next staple right in between the two pretty evenly. Plan that out. And I'm trying to be very careful with the amount of tension that I put on this. Accidentally pulled the trigger. All right, so now I want to go to the opposite corner, which at some point it goes from, oh, we're going to the opposite corner to we're going to the opposite-ish corner, because it gets hard to tell where you are. But again, you want to think in terms of a tightening sequence. So, and you want to use approximately the same amount of tension every single time. I'm trying to figure out where, here it is. Nope, there's 3, so I want to go over here, I think. Like I said, it's been ages since I've done this. This is not going to be perfect, and I'm not looking for perfect, but I am looking for comfort. My stripes are still straight, so feeling pretty good about this. I'm feeling the weave. This waffly material is coming through, and I'm wondering if I should have put it down like that. But you know what? After a couple, if I were doing this for somebody else and charging them, I would make sure I'd put that the other way. I'm just excited and I want this done. So I didn't worry too much about it. And to be honest, after a couple of weeks of sitting on it and drawing for 3 or 4 hours, that's all going to work itself out. So find a corner over here. It's not, where am I? Opposite-ish. Okay, right about here. I lost a staple. I keep pulling the trigger at the same time that I'm squeezing this. I'm not used to this kind of staple gun, although I really love it. It takes a little getting used to. So I keep my finger off it, and then there we go. Again, I'm trying to put even tension all the way around. And at this point, we've kind of set the pattern, so it's going to be really hard to mess up now. So it looks like I need the staple here. Yeah, you see how confusing this can get. We're getting there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trim some of this out of the way. And again, fabric scraps. So if you can figure out something to do with these, let me know. And like I said, this is really not going to be perfect, but nobody's going to see this except, well, my butt, really, because it sits under the writing desk until I pull, or under the drawing desk until I pull it out. So as long as it's comfortable, that's what matters. It's been years since I've done an upholstery project like this, so I don't expect to get it perfect. But the point of it is that you can do it yourself, and if you can't make it perfect, you can at least make it better. So now I'm just going around. Now I am going to just go kind of clockwise around here. And you saw how many staples were in this thing originally. So it does take quite a few staples to even things out quite a bit. Now, the next time I have to reupholster this, this is not giving me a good feeling here, but we'll see. Oh. I did it again. That's all right. The next time I upholster this, I may have to replace this top completely. And then what I'll have to do is just buy the little screw inserts that go in there. Okay. But anyway, we're just going to pull evenly, staple, pull evenly, staple, pull evenly, and staple. And I don't like how that looks, but let's see where we are. Okay, so that's not looking terrible. All right, at least the stripes are not going wonky. This bit here upsets me because the fabric's kind of folding over, as you can see. So I'm going to try to stretch it, spread it out a little bit, and then staple it down. And that looks a little bit better. It probably did that on the original, and I just never noticed it. So, because you are going around an edge, some amount of overlap is inevitable. I just shot a staple all the way across the room. So, you want to wear safety glasses while you do this, even if you're not the one stapling. If I'm the one stapling, you might just want to wear like a knight's suit of armor. But now you can also see why I cut the circle so much larger, because I wanted to make sure I had plenty of material to grab onto with my fingers. If you're working in an upholstery shop, there are actual pliers that will grab this, and the plier head itself acts as a fulcrum to pull the fabric back. And for the amount of upholstery I do, which is once every 5 years, it's just not worth it to me to invest in a $50 pair of pliers. So let's see, it's getting better. And I do see it looks like this little bit sticking out here, so I can pull this back here and staple and adjust as I go. And that's just how you do it. You go through and you find, this is already, you can see this is a lot thicker than what it was. Whoop, where are we? We're in frame. There we are. Not used to shooting when I'm sitting on the living room floor. So, yeah, it's already a lot thicker. It's more cushiony. And if this lasts a year and then I have to pull this off and reupholster it, well, that's fine. The point is I can do it myself. I don't have to buy a new stool. I don't have to pay somebody to reupholster it. I can do it myself for about $3 in material and about an hour's worth of my time. So, all right, so let's look, see here if we have any areas that we want to address. This is bunching up a little bit, but I think I can live with it. Like I said, it's not perfect. I'm going kind of quickly because I want it more or less done. Now, I put a staple here, and this is kind of loose here. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that one. Oh, come on. Sometimes it helps to get under the fabric. You want to be careful not to actually tear the fabric, though, because that weakens it. And sometimes this is a necessity. You find out you put a staple where you had this tight, but then you pulled the other sides tighter and it loosened that up. So there we go. We are getting there. I'm not terribly disappointed with how this turned out. I'm going to take this staple out because I think I can do a better job here. And really, if I wanted to, I could use this kind of staple or this kind of plier just to tug on the fabric. But I find it's more of a challenge than is actually necessary. So I'm going to pull that. That's not looking horrible, folks. And it's certainly more colorful than the black. Nothing wrong with the black, but yeah, it's nice to have a bit of color in your life. So I'm just going to keep going here, adjusting things as I go. And it is going to take a lot of staples. Remember, I went and grabbed the box just in case I needed to add more. Yep. Wondering if I actually put a staple where I wanted to. Okay. This is looking good. Any other places I need to adjust? No, I'm actually rather pleased with it. So, like I said, if I did this all the time, I would be better at it. Not claiming I'm doing a professional job, but oh, there's the issue. Look at that. We are out of staples. So this reloads pretty easily. So there's a little lever here that you squeeze, and this track slides out. And then you just take a row of staples, and they go in points up because the stapler is upside down, which means they will be points down when you are ready to go. So, all right. Now we're cooking with gas. Although we shouldn't be cooking with gas. It's terrible for the environment. And if any of these staples don't seem like they're seated properly, you can always go back in and tap them in with a hammer. I can see some areas over here that I missed. And I can't put this in normal mode. But for upholstering things, yeah, I think I want to take this guy out. For upholstering things, it really is kind of nice to have that trigger mode. Yep, come on. Come on. There we go. It really is nice to have that trigger mode because I don't have to think about doing two things at once. I can cock it and then think about where I'm pulling and where I want to put the staple. And do that as two separate tasks that my ADHD brain can handle. There's a channel I could do, ADHD Upholstery. We never actually finish anything. We just keep starting new projects. So, I just did it again, folks. Takes a little bit of getting used to. I just bought this staple gun yesterday. I had a really nice staple gun, the traditional Arrow staple gun. I don't think it survived the move the last time I moved, which was 3.5 years ago. Somebody said somewhere, there is a god of moving and you tithe them 10% of your possessions. And I happen to believe that. So, there we go. So, oh, there he is. I'm just super happy about that. This little bit here, it's a little wrinkly. I'll see if I can fix that. I may have to remove this staple here. And again, if you do a lot of upholstery, you kind of develop instincts about this, and you don't have to go back and do rework like I am doing. But I guess I'm not going to be able to work him out. Why? Why is the question. And the answer is because. Okay, losing my mic here. Fuzz. I'm really super happy with that. There's a couple little bits that I'm not really super impressed with. Again, this is short attention span theater. I am going to go in and just staple down some loose bits and then trim this back a bit. and show you what that looks like after a bit. All right, so this is what we have. Got a nice even double ring of staples all the way around. I trimmed it off. You can see here the 4 holes, little threads. Here are the 4 holes that this gets put back together with. So I'm just going to set this on here and drop these guys in, and it helps to set one a little bit, and then just to set the one across from it just to help things line up. And you know, this is the reason they put that dust cover on the bottom, is just to kind of keep all of that flat, but I'm not real worried about that. If I am, I can take this top off pretty easily and figure out something to cover that up. I could have just actually used another piece of this material and cut a circle out and tuck the edges under so it doesn't fray, and then covered up the bottom, but I'm not going to worry about that. Hey, you. And how do you know when these are tight enough? You just kind of do. And of course, if you're not banging your tools into the leg, it's not an actual repair job. One more, and then I'll go through and give everything another quick tighten. Yep. Sometimes when you tighten one, you think you have one tight, and then you tighten the one next to it, and it actually loosens the first one up. So that's why you use tightening sequences on car engines and car wheels. That way you don't warp things, and you make sure everything is tightened down with the same amount of torque. So that looks good. All right, there we go. There's our stool. And you can't really see this hanging over at all. So there we are, newly upholstered, a lot thicker, a lot more cushiony. My butt will be very happy to be sitting on this. So again, I probably got $2.50, maybe $3 in materials. Actually, I spent, let's see, $12.50 plus $6.50 is $19 plus tax. So I probably got about $21 in here, including sales tax. Sales tax in the state where I live is 6%. But this is probably $3 of material tops once you include the staples. And did it myself. Took about an hour. If I need to, I can redo it again. And I've got a ton of material left over. Not that. So here's this bit. So I could probably do two more stools. Actually, now that I've got a little bit of practice, and I could go with like a 19-inch or an 18-inch square, I wouldn't need as much fabric. But you know, this could also be turned into like slip cases for pillows or something. So for $6.97, that was not terrible. I'm going to leave the sticker on there so I can remember how much it costs down the road when I pull this out for some other project. Let's fold it like this. Actually, yeah, I have issues. So if you know me in real life, you're like, oh, you got more issues than a comic book store. So, all right, so there's that. And then we've got, and this is the hard part, all of this guy here, because this is enough for, what size mattress was this? This was a twin mattress cover. So there's quite a bit of this left over. So I've got plenty for other upholstery projects. But yeah, I am pretty happy with this. I don't know. I've got a vacuum bag. I can probably put that in. That will keep it from taking up a lot of space. But there we go. Now I can have a beer and nachos sitting on my stool. Perfect. See you next time.